Hello, this will be my video on which characters I think could be Echo Fighters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So ever since E3 this year, the internet has been completely lit on fire with ideas on who could be Echo Fighters, of who, and it's been interesting to say the least. A lot of people have trouble understanding the difference between an Echo Fighter and a normal fighter. I mean, they don't exactly explain it, so I can understand that confusion. But the short of it is, an Echo Fighter is a clone character. Like if you remember playing Melee, they had characters that were clones of other characters. Like Dr. Mario was for Mario, or Roy was for Marge, or Ganondorf was for Captain Falcon. So whenever you hear Echo Fighter, just think clone character. Now, a lot of people are kind of confused on, like, why is everybody freaking out of this? Like, if they're just clones, what's so special about them? Well, the first thing is that they're given a name. Specifically, like, they're put in the same kind of categories as a new fighter, like something new to expect. Because for the longest time, people were under the impression that an Echo Fighter, or clone, as they were known, would take away a slot from a character that was more desired by the fan base. Now, this not only doesn't make any sense, this is also not true. Sakurai's gone on record stating several times that that's not the case. They're usually included after all the prime slots have been selected and finished up on. So, like, just giving them a name kind of gives that nice delineation between the two, so then people don't get confused. Kind of think that people would think that's kind of common sense, but what are you gonna do? The second reason is that by coming up with this idea for Echo Fighters, by making it a possibility and things to expect, it kind of gives hope for characters who people have wanted for a long time, but who were too similar to other fighters for them to be seriously considered. Daisy, for the longest time, people wanted to see her in, but they often strain to find anything that separates her from Peach. She already uses sports equipment as part of her side smash, so it's kind of a moot point. But because Echo Fighters are inherently based on other fighters in the roster, it makes perfect sense that Daisy would be fit for something like that, being an Echo Fighter for Peach. And so people are looking to other characters that were very similar to other characters that could fit as an Echo Fighter. And that's where videos like mine come in. My video will be going over characters who I think could make it as Echo Fighters. Not that I particularly want them, not that they even have the highest chance, but if they have a chance at all, then they're going to be on this list. So just keep that in mind going forward. But before that, let's cover what an Echo Fighter is, because a lot of people get confused. I think it's really simple. Like, just an Echo Fighter is a clone character. Like, imagine a clone from Melee, like Ganondorf was for Captain Falcon. There can be some differences, such as they can be slower, they can be faster, they can be heavier, they can be lighter weight, they can be more powerful, less powerful. Their attacks can have different effects, but the most important thing is that they don't deviate from the main character in terms of the animations. They have to remain very, very similar to their character that they're based on. So, going forward, just imagine, like, just keep that in mind. So, there's no confusion. Like, that's what I'm using to base this list off of. The only things that are exempt from this with regards to Echo Fighters are their taunts, some of the animations for their attacks, and the final smashes. Their final smashes can be as different as they need to be, because, well, like, final smashes have become so cinematic as of late that it really makes no sense. Besides, Dark Pit, for instance, has a different final smash compared to Pit's, because he's like a different character, so it makes sense, and there's no confusion there. They can have different final smashes, a lot of little changes like that. First, let's go over the Echo Fighters that I think are the most likely, or at least the ones that I've heard people talk about the most. These three characters are Shadow, Dark Samus, and Chrom. So we'll start with Shadow, because he's easily one of the most discussed characters with regards to Echo Fighters. Shadow has a very similar build to Sonic. He uses a lot of the same moves, spin dash, homing attack, that, and so he fit well over Sonic as an Echo Fighter. And in a lot of his games, he has sort of played that role. In Sonic Adventure 2, due to the development of that game, Shadow was included as something of a clone of Sonic. So he played very similar, but he'd have his own animations, and even say like one or two separate power-ups that are different from Sonic's. Like, he doesn't have Sonic's Magic's hands, he doesn't have the bounce bracelet. That's just off the top of my head. So it would make sense for Shadow to be an Echo Fighter. But now you might recall that Shadow was an assist trophy in Brawl and Smash 4. Well, in this game, it's entirely possible that he is still an assist trophy, but he hasn't been seen yet. So people are thinking this is sort of not really a confirmation, but something of a soft confirmation or a hint that he might be an Echo Fighter, like, because you introduced the whole Echo Fighter thing, and you just so happen to exclude a character that could work very well under that new framework. It comes across as kind of suspicious or conspicuous or whatever. So I could see Shadow getting a bit of a power buff comparative to Sonic. I mean, Sonic hasn't been known for raw power. Shadow is known for, aside from just being very similar to Sonic, he's also known for being a little more powerful. Like, he has more powerful chaos attacks. As an Echo Fighter, he wouldn't really be able to do that, but he would at least have a higher base power compared to Sonic. His attacks would do more damage, deal a bit more knockback. Perhaps there could be a trade-off, like he jumps a bit lower than Sonic in order to compensate, hindering his mobility, but in a way that doesn't impact his speed. Some of his moves could have a few scant changes, such as maybe his back air could use his jet shoes to create like a little explosion and deal damage. Like, think of like Rob's back air in the way that he just fires off an explosion behind him. So then it deals more damage overall. His up B could remove the spring. At the cost of going a bit higher. Now, some people will think, well, what's the trade-off here? If you've ever seen like high-level competitive Smash, the spring is part of, like, it's considered one of the major aspects of Sonic's arsenal, being able to create a projectile as you're ascending in order to gain that, like, just gain a bit of damage, stagger enemies, stuff like that. Well, you remove that from Shadow, and it just makes him go higher. Alternatively, you could just have him go a bit higher, but like the spring wouldn't be based on the classic games. It would instead be like based off of how they appeared maybe in more modern games, or in Sonic Adventure 2, for instance. I could see that working out really well. Shadow's costumes in particular, I could see lending itself well to a lot of fun shadows and references. Unlike Sonic, who just has like different shades of blue with different arm decals, Shadow could take a lot of inspiration from his alternate colors in his own game, Shadow the Hedgehog. They have a 2-player mode, and they have characters that are basically like clones of Shadow, but there's like some of them are metal, and they have a weapon permanently glued to one of their arms. So you kind of use those same colors as like a shout out to them. You could also have an alternate color for like Mephiles from Sonic 06, given that he literally takes over Shadow's Shadow. And you can also have Infinite from the more recent game. Like, he plays a similar antagonistic role that Shadow used to play in Sonic Adventure 2, being like an Eggman side villain character. And like I think it would be nice, it'd be nice to shout out some of the other characters. I mean, Sonic Forces didn't do all too well, but that'd be nice. That'd be nice. For his final Smash, I could see them going 3 ways with it. One could just be a simple reskin of Sonic's, where he transforms into Super Shadow and just attacks really, really fast. I think that'd be kind of lazy, but I see them doing that. The second one would be based off of the Team Blast from Sonic Heroes. It would be able to, it would suck people in, it would deal tons of damage, but it would also slow them down so then they couldn't really escape the vortex, the sucking in vortex really well. and then they just get hit with lasers and launched really, really far. That'd be interesting, and it'd be a nice way to include Rouge and Omega, because like they're very integral to who Shadow is at the current moment. Like there's companions, and it would work out pretty well. The third one is Chaos Blast from his game, Shadow the Hedgehog, which would work out very well. I mean, you could have a thing where it just slows down as he's preparing to launch it, and then he just launches it, and just deals a bunch of damage and launches everybody really, really far. Or it could be like a cinematic finisher where he takes him to a ruined city and then launches a Chaos Blast and it just destroys all the buildings. It's really cinematic. I can see them easily going for the former because, you know, if you're an Echo Fighter, usually you wouldn't want to put a lot of work into it. I mean, you want it to be very easy. You wouldn't want to create a whole new animation for it. But, yeah, that's how I think Shadow could work as an Echo Fighter, and I think he'd work really well. But there are some problems, some that other people have listed with regards to Shadow getting in as an Echo Fighter, like, well, actually any third-party characters really, that they wouldn't work because just including an Echo Fighter of another character kind of devalues the inclusion of the character itself. Like, including Sonic feels a lot less because you're making a clone of him in the form of Shadow. I don't exactly understand how that works. I mean, a lot of the Echo Fighters I've seen with regard to third-party characters have been very integral to the characters that they're based on. Like, Shadow is a rival character to Sonic, and like he's easily one of the most popular characters in the Sonic series. Like, I think it's the second most popular character. But at the same time, there hasn't been any kind of confirmation that it's not possible. I mean, if that were the case, like, we wouldn't get Shadow or Knuckles as an assist trophy whatsoever. We wouldn't have gotten Gray Fox as an assist trophy. We would be getting Rodon as an assist trophy with Bomberman. It's like, there's really no precedent for that. There's nothing saying that they can't have an Echo Fighter. But, I can understand people's trepidation, but I think it's a bit misplaced. Also, people say that Shadow has a lot more to work with, that he could just be a semi-clone at the least, or an original character. I agree, there's a lot that Shadow has in terms of Chaos powers. However, I think when people come up with ideas for how Shadow would work as an Echo Fighter, they kind of overemphasize the Chaos control powers. I mean, Shadow uses that to a degree, but it's not really the core of who he is. He doesn't just use Chaos powers all the time just because he can. Like, I see there's tons of mods for like Brawl or Smash 4 that have Shadow warping around, throwing Chaos Spears, and doing Chaos controls like Final Smash or something. But, you know, if you look at the games, like, Shadow himself typically is just very similar to Sonic, how he rolls around, he does the homing attack, he has a lot of the same moves that Sonic does, so it would kind of be odd for him to just suddenly use a majority of his Chaos moves exclusively. And also, given how similar he is to Sonic as is, I really don't see him being included as an original fighter. I mean, an Echo Fighter is easily the most likely scenario, and I think it's the one that fits him much better. It fits him much better, because if he were to be like an original fighter, I mean, again, that would be sort of taking away from another potential fighter. And like, would you rather have like another fighter who people have really wanted for a long time, such as like a King K. Rool or Geno, or would you want Shadow? And I think people would rather settle for having him as an Echo Fighter. I certainly would, and I actually think, again, I'll reiterate, I think it's actually more fitting for him. He would just work so much better, you know. Anyways, this will be the end of part 1. I'm gonna cover the other characters in the later parts. Part 2 should be up around the same time. So, you know, if you want to go check out my channel, and like, it'll be there. It'll be there. So anyways, thank you for watching part 1. Stay tuned for part 2, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.